I go into people's homes almost every day for work, and I'm there to take pictures and do an inspection. But lately, the senior homeowners that I talk to, I don't know why, but they seem to tell me everything. And I mean everything. I even have people who are crying telling me their situation. And lately, what I've been hearing, well, it's the same story, just a little bit different. Right now, they are tapping into their home equity, taking out lines of credit against their homes. These are the homes that they've spent their whole lives trying to pay off. And when they say what they're doing it for, well, I'm not asking, but they're telling me. It's not for vacations, it's not for luxuries. What it's for is for paying off credit card bills, fixing roofs, helping out their adult children who are underwater. And every time I'm sitting there thinking the same thing, how did we come to this? These people are 60, 70, 80s, and they're taking money out for these things. They're people who did everything right. They worked hard, they saved, they paid off their mortgage, they lived modestly. So I want to actually try to answer the question here because I don't think that people are thinking much about this and they're not talking about it. And what I'm finding is that many seniors are very cash strapped. And even when these are people who may own their home free and clear or not have much of a mortgage, they're still going and taking the money. So, first, let's acknowledge the scale of this because I know it's not just a few isolated cases. I'm stumbling into more, but statistically, nearly half of Americans approaching retirement have essentially nothing saved in their retirement. And those who do have savings, the median amount is somewhere around $87,000, which sounds like a lot until you realize that that money potentially needs to last 20 to 30 years. Social Security, most people are, as retirees, are depending heavily on it. It's paying out about, on average, $1,900 a month. That's $22,000 a year. In 2026, when groceries, utilities, insurance have all gone through the roof, even the cost of the roof has gone up. So, before we even get into the personal stories, understand that the foundation that a lot of seniors and just people in general have been standing on, it's much thinner than people from the outside actually realize. So, why are people, specifically seniors, struggling so much? Um, what I see when I'm going into these people's homes, and it really comes down to three things here. Retirement was sold to them as something that it actually wasn't. And many people retiring now who've been retired for a little while, they were told to work hard, maybe get a pension, you pay off your home and you put a little away and you're going to be fine. And for their parents, that was mostly true, but the pensions have pretty much disappeared. The 401k that was supposed to replace it, well, that's the responsibility of the individual to invest correctly and contribute enough and not to touch it during every financial crisis that has come along, like 2001, 2008, 2020, and now all of the inflation we've had since 2020. A lot of people have gotten hit at exactly the wrong moment and then they can't really recover. And they didn't fail, but the system failed them because it quietly changed on them. All right, two, the cost of just existing has completely outpaced anything that people planned for. And I hear it constantly. Somebody tells me, well, I retired in 2012, 2016, whatever. The budget made sense back then. It was perfectly fine, but they didn't realize and couldn't budget for the inflation we've had. They didn't anticipate that their property taxes were going to skyrocket the way they did, or HOA fees that were going to keep climbing, even though their house was paid off. And they didn't account for the costs of actually repairing those homes that they need to now live in because they can't afford to move anywhere else. They also didn't expect healthcare costs to go up so much because Medicare covers a lot, but it doesn't cover everything. Prescription costs, dental, vision, hearing, all of these are largely out of pocket depending on what kind of plans they have. And a lot of seniors have unexpected health events that just one could wipe them out for years of their plan, of their savings, if they're not careful with how they're spending it. It's all not that they didn't plan, they just couldn't have planned for this. Number three is that they're still taking care of other people. And this is the one that kind of gets me the most because as I talk to these seniors and they're telling me about how they're helping out their adult children who've lost a job or went through a divorce, they can't afford the down payment. And, I get it. They want to help their kids. A lot of these people say, I just had my, adult child move in with me or move out. They do this without hesitation. They love their kids. They're going to help them. But I think what most people don't realize is that, it's flowing in one direction. The people who need the most money because aren't working are giving it away, and it's not flowing back to them. So it doesn't really work, because right now these seniors are funding the kids' present times and kind of hollowing out their own future. So at this point, it starts to worry me even more, because we have no idea what repercussions they're going to have to deal with from this. So what are some takeaways here? And why should this actually matter to you, especially if you're not a senior? If you are a senior, though, and you're watching this, I want you to know you are not alone. This is not a personal failure. There are so many people in your same situation, and I'm seeing more and more of them. The math is kind of stacked against you because of just the timing of everything, and there's no shame in any of this. But there are options, right? So there's programs out there, there's resources, and there's conversations that are worth having. There are financial counselors, there's housing advisors, and your family. And before your situation gets even tighter, try to see what you can do before it gets worse. If you're watching this because you have a parent who's struggling, or you suspect that they might be struggling, try talking to them, because they're probably not going to bring it up, because they're the parent and they have their pride, and pride's a powerful thing. So try to ask questions, try to get the conversation started, because the fact, if they have equity in their home, that means they're in a better position to try to reorganize their finances, and they can do that now before anything gets even worse. All right, I in the 2008 financial crisis, worked with a lot of people during their foreclosure processes and short sale situations. And I see a lot of the same things happening again. These are good people. They're proud people. They're people who thought that they've done everything right. They were doing enough, but it wasn't enough. And the world just moved faster than any of them expected. I have seen things that I can't unsee for some of these people. They're struggling. They're struggling with their homes. I can't count how many people who, they just didn't have the money to fix their home, and things just get left. And people are so embarrassed by their homes. It's sad. I walk in, and the first thing they do is apologize to me for their home. They shouldn't be apologizing for their home, but they also shouldn't be living in a home that they can't possibly fix. So many of them are buried in stuff. They've kept stuff. They kept their own stuff. They kept the kids' stuff. They kept their parents' stuff that died, their relatives that died. A lot of widows, widowers. It's something they're drowning in. And all of the financial stress of this is making it way worse. And that's why people sit down and start crying with me. And why I have to keep saying the same thing to everybody else. It's not just you. You are not alone in this. It's just how it is. And don't worry about it. Just take care of yourself, because the stuff there is just stuff. All right. If you or somebody you know has been dealing with any of these types of situations, drop your comments below, and any resources that you know that might help people, because we need to share those. And until next time, I hope that you have a great day. Remember, think differently, take control, be a renegade.